Right, well on this fine evening, I'm going to do another review. Well, when I say evening, you could be watching this video at night, in the morning, in the afternoon or midday, but when I'm filming this video right now, it's evening. And as you can see, tonight we're looking at more Hornby. And this locomotive is a southern loco, as you can see, and it's brand new. I do have two new locomotives. I have this, which is a class N15 King Arthur, and I also, well, I did order a Hornby A4 Commonwealth of Australia, but Hatton's just emailed me back saying hadn't got it in stock. Bugger. But don't worry, I have ordered something else. I have ordered a Hornby Class 56 Oyster Mouth. So that will go along with my other Class 56. Sweet. But anyway, and this locomotive is part of the Pete Waterman collection, as you can see. I've always liked Pete Waterman, if I'm being honest. I used to love watching his programmes. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, I still do watch some of them. Mostly his railway programmes, such as Pete Waterman on the Rails, stuff like that. And in 2010, or was it 2009, Hornby came up with Pete Waterman and released a series of models. And I think that is a really good idea. And this is something that Batman don't do. I'm not entirely sure what they brought out the models for. I think it may have been because they were models of real locos he saw when he was a little boy. I don't know. It could be the reason, but it's just a guess, really, what I'm saying. But anyway, and this was a brand new model, purchased from eBay, 89 quid, new, never been opened. I know it might seem hard to believe because the box has a few scuff marks on it, but it's brand new. As you can see on the side, it's R2905 BR460 Class N15 King Arthur. It's DCC ready, and the minimum radius is 438mm, if that's what it says. And this particular one is 30452 milligrams. And the thing that I love about this model the most is the tender. This particular model has the tender without the axle boxes, because originally it would have the frames on the side, so you wouldn't be able to see the wheels. But on this model, you can see the wheels. Just look at that. And that just reminds me of the Greyhounds, you know, the T9s. They also have tenders like this. But this locomotive did carry this tender in real life at some point. Although, interestingly, on the back you have a photo of the loco in real life, but it has a bogie tender instead. Although it says here it was built with a bogie tender. But maybe before its end working life, though it doesn't say, maybe it carried this tender. But I'm guessing that this is something that Pete Waterman must have seen and came up with Hornby, and this was one of the things he released. They have released other models, such as the Castle Class Earl Kens and Princess Elizabeth in BR Green. But anyway, let's get this open. So just take the box sleeve off. Look how easy that comes off. And the box design, it's really lovely. It's a very nice design. There's a picture of the loco in real life, even though I've just seen it. And there is a little bit of blurb about Pete Waterman himself, saying, as himself wrote on the jacket sleeve of his book, "A train is for life. Whatever I do and wherever I go, you can be sure that not far away will be one of my model railway engines." I think that deserves a round of applause. And you get some information on the Class 15s. They were introduced in 1918 and were known as the King Arthurs because the locomotives were named after personalities and places associated with King Arthur and the Round Table legend. Interesting. And they had stovepipe chimney, Drummond style cab. And in 1924, 2 more batches were ordered. This one, however, sadly doesn't exist. It was cut up, which is a shame. And only one actually is preserved, and that is Salamiel. So it's basically the sole survivor, which is a shame, but at least somebody thought to preserve one. But anyway, so the box goes to one side. Now, is this the new packaging that splits in two? Well, when I say new, it's now been replaced by the the plastic. Oh yes, and it is. Look at that. That's the side that I like to see the most, because this is my favourite packaging. Because this is very unique, you see. No other train company ever bought a packaging out like this. You know, this was the best polystyrene packaging, because the original polystyrene boxes, they were just awful. But anyway, so here's the box with the card insert in this. Not exactly amazingly interesting. So here's the instructions for the Class N15. And it's the usual stuff, taking the body off, lubrication, details. You all know the deal. Oh, and actually this, interestingly with this tender, this is the Drummond 8-wheeled water cart tender. Oh yes, interestingly we got we've got the little socket there, so it looks like this could have one of them plug things like the Class D11 came with, which is interesting. Some people might not like it, but I have no problem with it. And yes, we have the rather useless DCC jacket. Right. So let's get this packaging open then. So let's get these plastic bands off. And then the window should come off, like that. You do get these polystyrene bits on it. I suppose it's just to help to secure it, really. Then, well, you do get details, but since it's hard to take off, we will get some scissors and just cut them open like that. Right, so here we get spare coupling, a few footsteps, brake rods, and some gold piping to fit under the cylinders. So that's great. Oh, bad focus there. And then we get some more in here, which it's a driver and fireman. Now that is not very regular that Hornby actually supply you with these. It's actually rare. But anyway. Right. Now we'll just move this back slightly and take the top off. There we go. Now, what do we start with? Well, we'll take both of them out. The locomotive. Well, as you can see, we got these metal plates under it. So, in fact, how about we come on to the locomotive last? We'll start with the tender, because I rarely do start with these, don't I? So let's take off this tissue paper. And there it is. We could do with a bit of a dust, so just get my finger on it and rub it off. But wow. Now, for a tender, there is a little bit of weight in it. Not masses, but you don't want it too heavy, do you? It's just a tender. Now, wow, look at the detailing on that. You get the connector for where the tender goes into. And yes, there's that little white plug. The footsteps down here are really nicely done. The livery is spot on. Beautiful Brunswick green with the line and the accurate early emblem there. And there is some riveting on the bottom of the tender there. Just look at that. Also, there's, yes, sprung metal buffers and them couplings. There's some lamp points fitted on the back too, which is very nice. The wheels, now just look at that. I don't have any other steamer that has a tender like this. Look at that, it's lovely. And then at the front there, there's some more detailing. You get the little turning wheel there, but it's painted, and that is really good. And there's some nice riveting there, as you can see. And obviously that's where the water goes into. As you can see, it's called the water cart tender because there's the water carts under there. Now the coal, is it removable? No. Interestingly, it's not. Which is unusual. But I'll still get some real coal in there. I'll probably just put some PVA on here and just cover it up. Not too much of a problem. And I suppose I might put some real coal in here as well, because there's a big space there, and I'm sure it wasn't just this half in real life, just where the coal was. But where there's a will, there's a way, as you know. So there's the tender. There's not much to say about that, other than the fact that, wow, it's lovely. You know, there's not many tenders like this on the market, unless you buy the T9, of course. So that's the tender. Now we move on to the loco. Let's be careful when you take this tissue paper off, because I don't want to damage it. Right, now, first things first, I'm going to have to take these screws out. Hold on a sec. I've got just the thing that can help us out. Well, I've got just the contraption that can help us, and it's a loco cradle, complete with tissue paper. But there's a reason for this. That's because the inside of here is filthy with weathering powder, and I don't want to get it on the loco, and since I can't clean it yet, the loco cradle, then I'm going to place it into here. Right, so there we go. Now let's just see if these want to play. Oh yes. They're coming out. So I've never had a locomotive before. Why do I have to do this? Right, so there's that one. Come on. Right, we've got the world's smallest screwdriver here. Let's see if this can help. If it can't, this could take a while. Oh yes. There we go. It's out. Right, thank you, world's smallest screwdriver. a loco cradle with tissue paper actually helping out, and the other larger screwdriver. As for this one, useless. That is the weakest link. But anyway, right, back to the review. Wow. Right, well, there is some residue on the loco now, so I'll be back. Right, well, sorry if I'm taking long to review the loco, but I can't really help that. You know, I'd rather clean the residue off this now than saving it till later to end up for some disaster. And it shows that I actually care about my locomotives. Not saying anybody else doesn't, but I'm just saying that because I felt like saying it. Right, now onto the loco. There we go, just cleaning a bit off the cab. So now we can review it. Wow. Seriously. I am speechless. There is some riveting on the buffer beam, just look at that. And just look at the style of the buffers as well, just look how small and diddy they are compared to others I have. But the sprung buffers there, a nice bogie wheel which is easily freewheelable, some lamp irons and a brake pipe, and just look at all that riveting around the smoke box and on the running plate. And there's the number 30452, and there is a shed plate 72B or something like that, I don't know, can't quite read what it says. The chimney, now wow, that is really lovely, spot on. The dome's very nice, and the whistles and the safety valve and the piping that comes down the boiler there, as you can see, and the top's painted gold. Here's the tender connection, you have two, you have this and this little plug, so be careful. There's some nice cab steps as well, and there's even some smaller riveting here. There's also some cab doors and some handrails there too, and the cab roof is very nice. You can see you've got the number there again, 30452, and just look at the livery and lining, it's spot on. There's also some glazing in the cab as well, and there are some beautiful fine handrails that actually come on top of the handrails there and run along down the boiler, and it's painted green on where the livery is, where the boiler is, and on where the smoke box is, it's painted black, and that's such a nice touch. There's some more riveting there, the cylinders are quite nice. The valve gear and the link motion, wow, just look at that. And you don't get that with diesels. Oh hell no you don't. I just can't wait to see it all moving like on the real thing. There's also the reversing lever as well, which is painted grey. There's also some lining around the wheel arches. Well, it's actually one big wheel arch actually. There's the nameplates. Sir Meligrants. Wow, that is really nice. And there's some more gold piping that comes down the bottom there, if you can just see that. And also, look at this. Ta-da! The cab is painted. The floor is painted. Not very often you get that. The firebox, as you can see just there, painted silver. The turning wheel there, painted silver. The gauges, the levers, the dials, and the pipes, it's all painted. Even the seats have some slight painting to them as well. Seats, these boxy bits here. I suppose you could use them as seats if the driver had stiff legs, if that's what you want to call it. And even the inside in the roof is painted a lovely cream colour. Just look at the inside of the cab. It's not very often you get that. It's just lovely. Also, there is quite a bit of weight in this model. She's very heavy. But what do you expect? weight is important, and we want the weight, because without the weight she wouldn't be able to pull anything, whether it's coaches or wagons. There's a bit more residue there, so we'll just clean that up. See, it's important you look after your models, because even in the factory you can get residue on them. And there's some more gold pipe in there, and there too. It's basically the same detailing that you saw on the other side, except you didn't get the piping that came down there. And there's still plenty of rivets on the model. Wow. And of course you get the NEM sockets too. You can't forget those. Wow. And I actually don't want to put in the drive and fireman. Just look at that. Well, actually I don't put the fireman in, to be honest, or the driver. So it's just the girl's going to drive it, but, well. Yeah, I just can't stop looking at that beautiful inside cab interior painted cream, all that detailing. Because you see, if I put the crew in there, it'll block the view. Wow. Speechless. That's the only word that's coming to my mind right now. Right, well, this could be so far a 10 out of 10. So far, so good. Let's just get some nice close-up shots of it. In fact, it's probably better if we do it this way. What do you think? She's just so gorgeous. It looks like one of those gorgeous women that you see on the street and want to chat up. Or one of them lady models that you see in a magazine. She's that beautiful. Probably even more so than the Class D11. And that's saying something. But anyway, I've spoke about it enough, in enough detail. So let's get her on the tracks and see how she runs. Right, well, since I reviewed on this part of the layout, it's only fair that I start off the running here. So I just grabbed the model. I have connected the tender, by the way, to the loco. Which wasn't very tricky. Right, she's on. Now let's give her some juice. And there she goes. Well, considering that it's on the lowest power setting, she is running incredibly well. Here she comes. Do excuse the grubby Class 20s here, they've just been weathered. And there she comes, passing through the station, which is still under construction. Just look at that linkage. The valve gear and the link motion turning. It's just like the real thing. Well, this power setting is nothing, is it? So let's make it go a little bit quicker. Oh yeah, that's more like it. Right, well, we're going to have this review more action-packed. Instead of just having it running in the layout putting nothing, or just putting couches, we're going to have it come down here onto the turntable turn it round, come back out here, go all the way around the layout and to these points, where she'll cross over onto that line, then it will come back and couple up to these southern region couches, because I think that will just look immense. So I'll get the points changed. I'm having to use my fingers, but when it comes to later on, there'll be point motors. But anyway, there she goes under the station canopy, where the unknown shunter is parked up. There we go. So she's now parked up, and now let's get the turntable going. She's almost there. Okay, so she's turned round. So she's turned round successfully. So she's taking these very slowly. She needs a little push. Right, well, she's now coupled onto the coaches, and so now, let's get her pulling them. So just wait for the guard to blow the whistle. Well, there is no whistle, it's just the invisible whistle. Oh, wow. Look at that. That is just immense. Just look at that. That is just awesome. Even though it's still at a very low setting, the power. Right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Class N15 King Arthur. My new favourite steam locomotive. Well, for now, until it changes, which it probably will at some point. But for now, this is my favourite. If you don't have one, get one. Because they are perfect for any layout, whether it's a steam era or even a modern.